So good morning and happy New Year's.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
It is not Happy New Year's. The people who say Happy New Year's are the same people that pronounce the L in salmon instead of saying salmon, and say sorry for your lost instead of sorry for your loss. So let's start all over. It's Happy New Year. But I've been wondering about that phrase, Happy New Year's. I heard an announcer say during the holiday season while they were celebrating New Year's. That's actually correct, but of course it is not a visual representation. When that was said, it was audible. So to most people hearing it and decoding it in their brains, they're probably coming out with Y-E-A-R-S instead of while they were celebrating New Year's, which means while they were celebrating New Year's Eve or while they were celebrating New Year's Day. There was this elliptical missing noun, right? And so I think that is probably the problem. People are thinking Happy New Year's Day. Since we don't say day, they just drop the word day and then end up with Happy New Year's. And before you know it, we have a pandemic of bad grammar. Happy New Year's. So that's my story about New Year's. Any comments? While they were celebrating New Year's, I'm sure a lot of us have said things like that. And that's perfectly correct, because we do mean celebrating New Year's Day, but we don't tell someone Happy New Year's Day anyway. We say Happy New Year, meaning we're congratulating them on being here for the new year. Well, for this new year, I decided that the first month, last year was, I called it January. We did a lot on gender. And since then, I am sure you have been observing a lot about gender, right? Gender issues, people using they. When I saw the news about the 6-year-old who was in possession of a gun and shot his teacher, I said his, but the newscaster said they, used the word they and them for the 6-year-old. In other words, not identifying the gender of that person. I'm sure you've been noticing a lot. Or have you? Have you?
Yes.
I run into it a lot because I write stories about our students a lot.
Okay.
And I attended the Argos Ally training, which is a training for UWF staff who want to have a better understanding of the issue, and they serve as a safe place for any student to go that's dealing with the issue once they've completed the Argo Allies training. But there was a lot of discussion about people not understanding, and I'm fairly informed, but I really didn't understand the they, them, because it's very confusing to be speaking about a singular person with a plural pronoun. That's what they, them does, but I think that causes a lot of misunderstanding for people who are new to the issue. Like I even was like, so do they feel like they're two people, like multiple? But then I figured it out. So it's tough. It's like when I write about a student that has pronoun preferences, that's they, them, or whatever it is, on the front end, I tell my editing team, let's make sure you go back and double check me, because it is such a habit to fall back into the pronouns that we're used to. So it's a challenge.
Well,
a challenge when I'm interviewing those students. I try to be so respectful of them, but once you relax and start talking, the old pronouns come out. But yeah, we deal with it quite a bit.
Well, the slogan, I don't know if the participants remember that I used, not even a slogan, but the sentence that I used to help us remember and understand acceptance of it. Everybody uses the singular pronoun, even when they don't realize it. And that's a perfectly good sentence. And that's what most people would say. Not thinking that everybody is technically singular, because if it were not singular, I wouldn't say everybody uses, I'd say everybody use. But notice I use uses, the same verb you would use with your name. Shirley Green uses, Charlotte Bowen uses, Nathaniel Montgomery uses, Christy Emanuel uses. So we use uses as a singular verb to go with a singular pronoun. Everybody uses the singular they, even if they don't realize it. So I'm using they to refer to everybody. But we're going to do prepositions this month.
Mamie, may I share something?
Please.
As you know, I have an issue. I had to get an appointment with my arm. And when I got the check-in, they told me that I could check in online, and I did. And at the end of the, there was a survey. And I have never had this before on my profile. And the first question on the profile was, what sex were you at birth? And then it gave a long list of things, like male, female, choose not to disclose, and unknown. And then it says, what is your current gender? And then it says identifies as, and it gave a long list of things. And then the next question is, which of the following best describe you? And the answers were lesbian, gay, homosexual, straight, homosexual, bisexual, something else, don't know. And then, and the last one was, what pronoun do you use? He, him, she, her, they, them.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm looking in my phone now for a form that I took a picture of that's similar to what you were just saying. I think this is it. Yes. Your sex, then you have female on a drop-down list. Your identity identifies as female on a drop-down list, identifies as male. Orientation, straight or heterosexual on a drop-down list. And it goes on. So yes.
And I had never had that before.
Okay.
It's just unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It's too much. It's too much.
Too much
Oh
for
my
you.
God.
I'm acclimated. It's okay. I'm adjusted.
Not
Have a comfortable adjustment to it.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can adjust to prepositions.
Could I say something, please?
Pardon?
I was wanting to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
When I hear people say New Year's Day, I be thinking they're talking about the whole 12
months.
Yeah.
With D-A-Y?
Why?
No, D-A-Y. New Year's Day, right? That's one day.
Yeah.
But when they say Christmas Day, do you think they're talking about the whole 12 months? Because it's D-A-Y. Oh, you know what? What are you seeing when you say your own name? You see M-I-S-T-Y, right? So when you say New Year's Day, tell me how you're seeing years. What do you see? Spell what you're seeing.
Y-E-A-R-S.
That's why. Because you're seeing Y-E-A-R-S. You're seeing several years. When really the person is saying to you, Happy New Year's Day. Can you see my screen? Y-E-A-R''S. That's what the person is saying. The reason you're visualizing all these years is that you're spelling in your head Y-E-A-R-S. So from now on, spell in your head Y-E-A-R''S. Okay. So I'm Marion. You're welcome. Preposition me. How are you going to preposition me if you don't know what a preposition is? How many of you know what a preposition is? No, let's put it another way. How many of you can name at least one preposition?
I can.
Hands up. We can all. Guess what? Some English majors can't. Every day on the first day of my modern grammar class, which is a grammar class exclusively, although we have visitors, I call them, who are not English majors, who are not interested in teaching English. They show up in the class too, but it is a class primarily for people who are going for prospective English teachers, and many of them don't know prepositions. And one of the questions I ask for a free book is, in 1 minute, name as many prepositions as you can. And often, almost every semester I teach that course, there will be one person who can not only name about 30 in 1 minute, write them down, but they're alphabetized. And my question to that student is, did you attend Pensacola Christian? Yes, ma'am. I said, okay, because at Pensacola Christian, they're required to learn the prepositions and learn them in alphabetical order. Some of us, however, were taught prepositions another way. I learned to remember prepositions based on anything a squirrel can do to a stump. The squirrel can go in it, to it, around it, above it, through it, under it, over it. So those are all prepositions. And people are concerned about prepositions. Any other tricks that any of you learned when you were in school about these preppy, pesty prepositions? Can you remember any?
I don't have a good memory.
Okay. All right. So people are really concerned about prepositions. Look at this statement here. In regards to the upcoming event, if you're planning on being in the Los Angeles area, try and look up the person who was arrested in connection to the shooting. There are some bad prepositions here. There's some pesky prepositions. You see them. One of them is blue line for you. So you know, you might not have known that in regards to is a what's called a phrasal or 3-word preposition, but it is. So it's already blue lined. Telling us, hey, something is wrong, or at least check me out and see if something is wrong. So we're probably going to be told, if I can get it to work for me here, to change it to in regard to, there it is. In regard to, take the S off. Give my regards to Broadway, but in regard to, it still doesn't like it. It probably wants me to change it to regarding. Either one will work. But if you say in or with, you must say regard, in regard to, with regard to. Do you see any other strange prepositions? Let me highlight them. This one we changed. Do you see any others? Let's try this next one. If you're planning on Alex Trebek, not Alex himself, but the announcer for Jeopardy. I think that wording has been changed. I recall thinking about writing Jeopardy and I thought, oh, somebody else was thinking the same thing. Someone has written Jeopardy to tell the announcer. It's not if you plan on being in the Los Angeles area. It's if you're planning to be. But notice we didn't get a blue line. This is so common, I think. It's not even blue line. If you're planning to be in the Los Angeles area. Try and look up. Do you want whoever is reading this to do 2 things, to try and then do one more and then look up? No, I think you want the person to try to look up the person. So this should be a preposition. Here's where we need one and we don't have one. Try to look up. Plan to. Who was arrested in connection to the shooting. And I confirmed, that's right, I confirmed this with Merriam-Webster. Usage is not divided. Things are done. Maybe they're thinking about, I want to connect to you. Let's have this. Maybe that's where the error is coming from, but it's you are arrested. Someone was arrested in connection with the shooting. In fact, I sent my friends at WEAR a text through a grammarian. Sue is really a good grammarian. I said, tell your colleagues it's connection to. And she said, well, I don't know if they'll listen, but I'll let them know. In connection with, not to, but with, in connection with the shooting. So here we go. Person arrested in connection to the shooting. That was on January 2nd. To help me to start off my preposition year. I call those words like that partisan prepositions, because if you're a partisan, you have a firm adherence to a certain faction, or in the case of our prepositions, a firm adherence to a certain noun or verb with allegiance to this phrasing. So instead of in connection with the shooting, it's, I'm sorry, I'm getting myself confused, am I not? In connection with the robbery, in connection to the robbery. So which one is it, based on what we just said?
With.
Good. And this is a quote from Merriam-Webster. It's an idiom. An idiom. An idiom is an arrangement of words typically associated with a specific preposition that creates what's called an idiomatic phrase. And often they're not to be taken literally. Idioms include phrases like, take me to the airport and step on it. You don't really want me to step on the airport. That's just a expression. So
Right.
it's in relation to it. It's in connection with, in meaning in relation to. And maybe that's where the error is coming from. If it's in connection with, if that means in relation to, why not in connection to? That may be the logic people are using. And Misty gave a good example. She said she's thinking New Year's Day because she's seeing YEARS. So people really do wonder about prepositions. Here's a grammar hotline question from years ago. I saw this on Twitter regarding a word Laura Hussey used. What are your thoughts? Aboard NAS Pensacola. And the person wrote, the shooting didn't take place aboard a ship. So she's looking at aboard, which is a preposition, but she's questioning whether this is right. Aboard NAS, the shooting didn't take place on a ship, she's saying. NAS Pensacola, I'm sorry, NAS Pensacola. So I ended up thinking through this and thinking, okay, she's taking that very literally. So here's what I ended up saying. This is not even grammar. I think it's a figure of speech referring to the base, the Naval Air Station, the Navy base as a ship. It's a kind of called a synecdoche. A synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a term for a part of something refers to the whole, or vice versa. A synecdoche is a class of metonymy offered by means of either mentioning a part of the whole or conversely the whole for one of its parts. Makes more sense when you look at the examples. Cleveland won the game. Dillard's is having a sale. I've had students ask me, what do you mean Dillard's is having a sale? A person can have a sale, but can Dillard's? Yes. Dillard's, JCPenney, Sears, they all have sales. Yes, that's a synecdoche representing something else. So people do wonder about prepositions. Here's another grammar hotline question. Good morning. Several of my coworkers use this expression, I'll see you on tomorrow. Or the project was finished on yesterday. I had one colleague to ask me, is that Black dialect? I said, why do you think it's Black dialect? She said, because the people I've heard use it are Black people. I said, no, I think it's quite universal, but it is not correct. And then we received a question on the grammar hotline. I had no reason. I guess it's that idiom that I can hear. I know what it's supposed to be. And then on the other hand, I thought, I'll see you tomorrow sounds better.
Better.
When you say tomorrow, you really have a kind of missing preposition anyway. That's another grammatical issue. So we found something finally. Pardon, go ahead.
Using the word on, see you, you would say something like, see you on Monday.
No, it's the same thing. Tomorrow and Monday are in the same category.
The host of the 11th hour show on MSNBC says, I'll see you
But I
all
wouldn't
at the
say
end
see
of
you
tomorrow.
on tomorrow.
Yes, it's the same thing, actually. Here's the answer from a book called Practical English Usage. And it is a book primarily used for international students in the international program on campus. Because I thought, surely there's got to be an explanation. I remember an international student asking, why is it the United States, but not the Russia? Good question. I have no idea. We know this intuitively, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
When to use THE in front of a country's name and when not to. Well, there is an explanation. Don't ask me what it is. I'd have to get the book and read it to you. But these are things that native speakers know intuitively. So this business of on Monday versus on tomorrow and on yesterday versus on today, all of those things. Here is our answer. Yay. There's a small chart that lists the prepositions required for various expressions of time. You have at, clock time. Can someone give me an example of at with a clock time?
At 11 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock.
Okay. How about in part of the day?
In the morning.
Okay. How about on plus a particular day?
On December 31st.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting this. Okay. In regard to your question involving tomorrow, see Google doesn't like in regard to. Let's see what does Google want here. Probably regarding. I can't, there we go. Yes, Google wants regarding. I'll go ahead and yield to Google. But in regard to is not wrong, as long as you don't have that S on it. Regarding your question involving tomorrow and yesterday, rule number 7, and this should have quotation marks around it. Rule number 7 on page 80 of this same book states that there is no preposition at, in, on, etc. needed in expressions of time before the words next, last, this, that, one in an informal style. Each, that's one in an informal style. Each, every, some, all, yesterday, the day before yesterday, tomorrow, or the day after. So there you have it. No no preposition. There's on, that's the one we're asking about. Needed in expressions of time before these words. Next, on next Monday, on last Monday, this Monday, and so on. On each Monday. You can just say each Monday. We'll meet each Monday as we do for Grammarcise. This is just making sense?
Yes.
So let's see.
So instead of saying see you this weekend, you just say see you weekend?
No,
No,
you were right. You left out on. You were right when you said it. You said, I'll see you this weekend.
Uh-huh.
It's saying here, don't use on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you were saying it correctly.
Okay.
And with words like yesterday and tomorrow, but it doesn't have a specific day. So let's see. It has these descriptors, next and last and yesterday and tomorrow. But it doesn't have Monday, a specific day, but here I think we have it. It tells us it's okay to say, I'll see you, I don't have an example with Monday. So it's okay to say, I'll see you on Monday, or I'll see you Monday.
Okay.
But according to practical English usage, it's I'll see you tomorrow. I saw you yesterday, but it would be incorrect to say I'll see you on tomorrow. Is that the way each of you is reading this?
Mhm.
Yep.
No.
Okay. Okay,
Mhm.
there we have it. So people do wonder about prepositions. And to make sure we had an audience today, I set out a test. Okay, let's see. I didn't use these 3 yet. I'll save those. These 5. You already know the answer to number 1, but somebody read number 1. Read the correct one, please.
Can you make it a little larger?
Oh, sure. I'm sitting right up on it. That's why I can see it. But other than that, because if I had my phone, I wouldn't be able to see it either. There you go. Is that better?
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead. Number 1, a reader. You're just going to read the one you think is right.
In connection with the hearings.
Okay, does anybody disagree?
In connection to the hearings.
Okay, so it means we do need to go back
Yes, in connection with.
to Merriam-Webster right here. It's always with, that's the idiom. Okay, number 2, someone.
Miss Hickson,
Yes.
is that because the word to in that context suggests direction rather than connection?
I think it's the package of in connection to. And I think too, we typically use connected to. I'm connected to many organizations, but this is connection. And I think the idiom is connection with, but you can be connected to something. I'm going to connect my phone to my computer,
Outlet.
to the outlet. Number 2, someone choose one and read it aloud for us.
On the behalf, that's the wrong one. The correct one is on behalf of the school district. I mean, on behalf of the school district.
Okay, does anyone disagree?
Mhm.
Okay, so we all agree that it's on behalf of, and that's good, because although we hear, raise your hands if you've heard that.
Mhm.
On the behalf of, am I the only one? Oh, I see a couple of,
Yeah.
Hang
Yeah.
on.
I've seen
Okay.
it.
All right, number 3, a reader. Just read the one that you think is correct.
Condolences and prayers for the loss of our CEO.
Okay. And every time I receive something from someone asking me to edit a program or an email with this kind of expression, I have to look it up myself. Sometimes you see things written like on the behalf of. I see that so much, I'm thinking, am I the one who's wrong here? Let me look this up to be sure. So condolences and prayers for the loss. You said for the loss, right? Of the
Mhm.
CEO. Okay, does anyone disagree? Okay, and it is for the loss. All right, number 4.
With regard to your inquiry.
Okay, does anyone disagree? We're going to go with regard to. That's the one, and in regard to. And finally, number 5.
Reflecting upon my life.
Okay, it actually turns out that both of these are right. So whatever your guess was, you're right. Either, according to Merriam-Webster, reflecting upon my life or reflecting on my life. Either of these works.